Hey everyone, welcome back to Guitars, Whiskey, and Golf and my bourbon tasting room in my basement. So today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to do a video especially for new bourbon drinkers or people that are new to the whiskey world. And for you experienced whiskey drinkers out there, hang with me because I think I've got some whiskeys here that even if you're an experienced drinker, you may want to go back to and revisit because, you don't always want something that's 125 or 130 proof. Sometimes you just want an easy sipper on a Friday night, and they can be really, really enjoyable when they're well made. So every whiskey that I want to talk about today, I feel is a very well made whiskey that is approachable for the new whiskey drinker, somebody that's trying to develop their palate, and is also enjoyable to an experienced whiskey drinker. So let's get into it. The first whiskey I have here is called Penelope 4-Grain. So Penelope 4-Grain is actually an 80 proof whiskey. It's corn, rye, wheat, and malted barley. It's distilled by MGP in Indiana. So if you know anything about MGP in Indiana, you know that they make incredible spirits. A lot of companies source their whiskey from MGP in Indiana. I personally have probably tasted at least a dozen whiskeys that are sourced from MGP, whether it be bourbons or ryes or 4-grains. And it never ceases to amaze me how good the product coming out of MGP in Indiana is. So the Penelope 4-Grain is corn, rye, wheat, and malted barley. It's, like I said, it's an 80 proof whiskey. I think it's extremely well made. It's very delicate. On the nose, and I'm referring to some notes here, so excuse me. On the nose, it's oaky. It's a little bit peppery and a little bit nutty as well. On the palate, it's delicate. There's some sweet oak that you get off of it and some spice. The finish is not long. The mouthfeel is not incredibly thick or, viscous. It's really a light whiskey that's very delicate, but also very well made. So, you can pick up Penelope for about $42. I personally think at that price it's a buy, even though it's at 80% proof, which some more experienced whiskey drinkers will say, hey, I don't want anything at that proof level. I get that, but if you're new to whiskey drinking, I think that you'll find that this is a super approachable whiskey. It's something that's great to develop your palate with. And even if you're an experienced whiskey drinker, this is a nice light whiskey that, on a Friday night, you can have a couple and not feel overpowered by it. So highly recommend the Penelope 4-Grain at $42. I think it's an excellent made whiskey. The next one we've got is Long Branch. Long Branch is made by Wild Turkey. So we're going to be going up in proof little by little as I work through this list. To me, the nose on Long Branch is butterscotch and vanilla, touch of smoke. If you don't know, Long Branch, which is, like I said, a Wild Turkey product, is actually filtered through charcoal, mesquite charcoal. Just, much like the Lincoln County process for Tennessee whiskey, like Jack Daniels, that is filtered through sugar maple charcoal. The Long Branch is filtered through mesquite charcoal. I definitely think it smooths out the whiskey. It gives it a touch of smoke. I would actually love for the smoke on Long Branch to be amped up a little bit. But you're dealing with a whiskey here that you can get for about $35 to $39. It's definitely readily available. It is aged 8 years, so it's well-aged whiskey. On the palate, I get spice, I get smoke. It's creamy, and like I said, the mellowing process with the mesquite charcoal, I think, really does something interesting to it. Now again, this is, I would say, a fairly light whiskey, so very approachable for you new bourbon or rye drinkers. Somebody that's more experienced may find this a bit thin on the palate, but personally, this is actually my second bottle of Long Branch. As an occasional easy sipper, I absolutely love it because I think it's a little bit creamy on the palate. I love that there's a little bit of a smoky edge to it. Not a lot of smoke. Like I said, I kind of wish they would almost amp up the smoke. But again, we're talking about whiskeys here that are approachable to the new drinker, and then are also well made and enjoyable for you experienced whiskey drinkers out there. So Wild Turkey Long Branch, it's not expensive, it's readily accessible, and I do recommend it. The next one is Angel's Envy. We're creeping up the proof a little bit here, but still only 86.6% on the proof. This whiskey is actually finished in port wine barrels. Angel's Envy kind of took a lot of heat when they first came out several years ago because they were priced around $50, and several years ago, $50, people were like, whoa, you know, where do you get off charging 50 or $55 for this? You know, nowadays you hear $50 and it kind of sounds like a bargain. But in any event, you can get Angel's Envy for 55 to like $59. Like I said, it's 86 proof. It's finished in port wine. The nose for me is very interesting. I get vanilla, but I also get this like interesting milk chocolate note on the nose, and on the palate. To me, that all translates. I get honey, I get some vanilla, and I get that milk chocolate note that I really like. So personally, I'm a fan of Angel's Envy. It's an easy sipper. It's got some beautiful sweetness to it. I think it's a well-balanced whiskey that I think can be enjoyed by, you know, new whiskey drinkers or people with a more experienced palate. So Angel's Envy, I like it. The next one we've got is Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace is 90 proof. You know, Buffalo Trace, to me, this is a great bargain because you've got a really, really well-balanced whiskey here. When you drink this, you're like, wow, this, you know, it doesn't have any sharp edges. There's nothing jutting out, banging you, saying, you know, this is not a well-made whiskey. It's made by Buffalo Trace, obviously, and I don't know what the mash bill on it is. It's not really disclosed. But very well made whiskey, but this is only $25, so great entry level bourbon, a great bourbon for just your like casual everyday sipper. Absolutely nothing wrong with Buffalo Trace. On the nose, I get some stone fruit, which is kind of interesting. I get a little bit of orange peel, and on the palate, I think it's kind of fruity. But the main thing I like about it is just how well balanced it is. It's a little bit fruity, it's a little bit spicy, it's a little bit sweet. It's all of those things in a very, very nice balance. So Buffalo Trace, $25. You know, you just can't go wrong. And the last one is Smoke Wagon Small Batch. So Smoke Wagon Small Batch is 100 proof. So this is the highest proof of all these whiskeys. Again, this is just like Penelope. This is a sourced whiskey made by MGP out of Indiana. And like I said, MGP makes tremendous whiskeys. It's 100 proof, like I said. It's a very high rye mash bill. There's 36% rye in that mash bill, which is really kind of strange to me because you don't get a heavy rye, whoa, super spicy or whatever. You know, I don't get those rye influences as much. I get on the nose, I get dusty oak, sweet stone fruit, some vanilla, and on the palate, I'm getting orange peel, again, some sweet oak, and some spiciness. Very, very nice whiskey to drink, just to casually sip. I think the newbie to the whiskey world will love that. MGP just never fails. They always make great whiskeys. Smoke Wagon on the biggest thing I would probably criticize Smoke Wagon for is the price. It's, you know, anywhere between 55 and 65 bucks. To me, it should be more like 45-ish, something like that. But, you know, what can you do? Whiskey is super expensive these days, as we all know. But highly recommend Smoke Wagon small batch, 100 proof, very well made whiskey. So those are 5 whiskeys that I think, if you're beginning to try to develop your whiskey palate, you will enjoy all of those. And if you're an experienced whiskey drinker, you know, go back to some of these, and I think you'll find that it's really nice just to take a whiskey that's, you know, 86 to 94 proof, something like that, and is an easy sipper, and it's kind of nice to sip on something that isn't beating you over the head with proof. We all like those high proof whiskeys, those cast strength whiskeys, and nothing wrong with that. I'm all about those high proof whiskeys, but every once in a while, circling back to something a little lighter is nice too. So I hope that helps. Take care, you guys, and thanks for tuning in to Guitars, Whiskey, and Golf. I hope you'll click on the subscribe button. Give me a comment too on whiskeys that you think are great entry-level sippers and also enjoyable for the experienced whiskey drinker. All right, take care, guys. Bye.